Since the legendary Duke Kahanamoku introduced surfing to the world early this century, there's been an ever-increasing flow of surfers and sailors across the Pacific, a continuing evolution in the art of wave riding. Members of this pan-Pacific movement included George Greenough and Bob McTavish, who helped free surfers from the massive planks of the past and ushered in the shortboard revolution, which swept the surfing world. Today, another revolution is underway, and the ancient art of wave riding is undergoing a period of rapid change. Windsurfing has begun. Robby Naish is universally acclaimed as the greatest windsurfer in the world today and has dominated the sport since he won his first championship at the age of 13. Our story begins with Bob McTavish and George Greenough in a small town on Australia's Pacific seaboard. Lennox Head is a sleepy holiday town on the northern coast of New South Wales and has been home base for McTavish and Greenough for most of the past 10 years.
In the late 60s, George Greenough and I were looking for a place to try out our new designs, a really good surf break, and Lennox Head filled the bill. At the moment I'm working in an old cow shed on top of the hill, and it's really easy to slip outside and check the wind.
G'day, George.
Want to go and check the wind rig?
Yeah, well, is it coming up, huh?
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, I've got time for a sail. Let's
Yeah.
go try it.
Okay.
Fantastic.
There aren't too many days when there's wind when you can't get some really good action.
1,000 miles to the south of Lennox Head is Bells Beach. Bells has for decades been one of the centres of Victorian surfing and a testing ground for McTavish and Greenough since the early 60s. Nearby Torquay is now on the international windsurfing circuit and each year plays host to the sailboarding elite. Robby Naish and Bob McTavish arrived at Bells Beach early in the summer of '84.
Victoria has always been special to me. We've been coming here for nearly 20 years, testing equipment and ideas.
When did you get into it?
Well, initially, the first time I tried it was 1974. And I got into it sort of through sailing. I had a Hobie 12, small sailboat. And there were a few windsurfers in Hawaii at the time. Dennis Davidson, Mike Horgan, a few other guys, and they were having a local race. Asked if I wanted to race them. Did, met them that way, went out tandem, started borrowing their boards.
Skinny little kid.
75 pounds. Very, very slowly started learning how, because they didn't have training rigs or anything back then. I wasn't really big enough to pull the sail out of the water. At first, Mike would have to sail along with me inside of him and then let go off the back, and I'd sail along until I fell down. And then, went on from there. I won the Hawaii Regionals in '76 that sent me a free ticket to California for the National Windsurfer Championships. I got second there behind Mike Waltz, which gave me a trip to the Worlds in the Bahamas. And so I ended up winning the World Championships in the Bahamas when I was 13 in '76.
Well, this is Bells.
All right.
We did a lot of developmental stuff here back in about '67. The first shortboards after we'd been working with Greenough for a couple of years. And this was the place we tried out the first stuff. That was cut off, short.
More like little knee boards that he was riding back then?
Same concept, but still a bit longer than that. Still in the 8-foot region.
But he was a knee boarder, right?
Yeah.
Where I come from, knee boarders are the guys that you figure are kooks that can't surf, can't stand up on a surfboard.
Right, now not this guy. This afternoon we saw him surfing it for the first time. It was a grey afternoon. His first wave, he dropped in, held the bottom turn, and just rockers out of the turn. We just went, what? That's unbelievable. That's
Single fin or multiple fins?
Single, long, flexible fin. That was in '63, and it took us about 4 years at it until we came here to Bells in '67 in Easter.
Nat Young was the king in those days.
Late in '67, we went to the islands, and we had a ball. We had really incredible surf at Honolulu. We're going to go back there again in another few months. You get over there much?
Yeah, at least a couple times a year. We have a lot of contests, wave riding contests there during the year, and once in a while I'll just go over for practice. are you guys going over exactly?
3 months, February, I guess.
February?
Yeah.
Maybe we can get together while you're there.
Sounds unreal.
All right.
Let's go.
Sounds good.
Bob McTavish has always been involved in the quest for speed and flight.
The only way we're going to make a quantum leap and just bust the known parameters of speed is to get the craft running on a cushion of air to eliminate skin drag completely. What do you think of the monster, George?
Looks really good, but where are you going to stand on it?
Right on the back.
I think it looks real good. It's just going to be controlling it.
Yeah,
It's going to be, one of the problems whether it's going to want to take off when you're on it.
that should be fun.
Should be real interesting. I could see an unbelievable wipeout out of it.
I'm going.
Or just like in a really gusty situation where it just picks up, wind gets underneath it all of a sudden, it'll just pick you up.
And flip.
Be like someone on a saucer throwing it.
Well, we'll see.
Just I wouldn't hook up on it.
I think they just take it back and come tomorrow.
Yeah, try again, eh?
Yep.
We'll glass it all over next time.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Just south of Lennox, there's a rock shelf that juts a long way out into the ocean, and really nice waves break down both sides of it. The wind's usually offshore on one side or the other, and that means really good wave riding conditions. At the other end of Lennox is Broken Head, a collection of rugged headlands. It's in amongst these that George nestled his radical pyramid. Every now and then a cyclone crosses the coast in this area, and he didn't want to get blown away.
Hi, George. Nice day up here today.
Yeah, beautiful.
Grab yourself a cut, Mom.
So there it is, hey George.
Yeah. You want a cup of tea?
Thanks. They're the same shape. Looks just like your spoon knee boards that you've had for years.
Have a look at the bottom. Sure.
Yeah, right, there's the hard planing edge and the fin, stainless steel.
Yeah.
Hard to
That
make.
works like a torsion bar. That torques off a fair bit there. You throw your weight against it and turn.
Yeah.
It's only
Hey,
bang 2 or 3 inches.
You've been hitting sharks occasionally, right? Is that one reason why you went to a stainless steel fin? So,
No, basically they just don't wear out going through the sand, right through sand, rocks, anything else, sticks,
Sharks.
nothing much happens to it.
but you really wouldn't like to hit a shark with a fiberglass fin, would you? You could snap it
Well,
off.
snaps right off.
And is it easy to hit sharks?
No, it's quite hard. They usually just going over the top of their head and they'll dive before the fin reaches them. You might get something a little thunk or something.
You try to?
On the board that floats, yeah.
And how do you go? Good success rate?
No, really bad. They just dive. You go over and you can see kind of, you can see the flash of the eye and the teeth as they go down.
Keep trying, eh?
Yeah. I know, a friend of mine hit one accidentally and got catapulted. And he just went over as a big tiger shark.
Wow.
He didn't see it until it was going under the board. Most of the ones out here are fairly small and they hear the board coming.
Yeah.
And you just literally watch the fins going under the nose of the board and it's, you wait for the thud, nothing happens.
Oh, well, it's going to be interesting to see how fast it goes when we take it over the west, George. isn't it?
Yeah.
The America's Cup Challenge will be sailed off Fremantle in Western Australia. Just to the south of Fremantle is Woodman's Point, a perfect natural speed course where the Windrush International Speed Trials promise to become one of windsurfing's most exciting annual events. The fastest of the multi-hulls still hold the record for sail-powered craft, but each year the sailboards have come closer to outright victory. George Greenough has joined the race to become the world's ultimate sailor.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Windrush Australian Speed Trials, set here at Coburn Sand. We've arranged a course over a 500-metre distance, running from the top end of the spit here through to the bottom end of the sand. We've gotten a terrific international entry for this competition. 19 or 20 of our entries are from overseas. Principal amongst our entries are 7 Hawaiians that include Fred Hayward.
I learned with the best guys, Mike and Matt, and probably Robby influenced me in speed as much as anybody, even though he didn't ever sit out and tell me on the race course or anywhere. Just like sitting around with the boys late at night, he'd give me a little tip, and I would listen to it carefully, and I'd also analyze his style. You know, when he starts off the beach, he grabs the front of his boom very close to the mast, and he gives a quick pump, and then he jumps back a couple inches, gives another pump, and jumps back. And I realized the farther back you go on the boom, the faster you can go. And I started to mimic that style of getting way back and leveraging my weight way far away from the board, and it seemed to work better.
We also have Patty Whitcomb through from Hawaii, who is the second fastest lady in the world. We've got Peter Bridgmans from Italy, who is the fastest soft sailor. By soft sailor, I mean he's not sailing with a wing.
Ice sailors, they go a lot faster than the wind, and we are also going faster than the wind up to about 25 knots. Yep. But when it gets above that, somehow we've got so much resistance that we can't go faster than the wind. Right. So we've got to work on that side of it, I think.
Going faster will translate into new designs all over the windsurfing world. There'll be people that modify high-performance rigs for speed into conventional rigs that will sell to the public. So it's exciting to be on the leading edge of technology and working with such superior thinkers and doers. You know, I have a team of leaders, not followers. So they're always out there trying to go 40 when everyone else is trying to beat 30.8. I think Jimmy has an eye for making a board flow. He looks at it like he's water. He looks at it from every possible angle, with every light condition imaginable, and he wants to run down the bottom of the board and release in a fluid way to not change the angle too much.
And what makes my boards really work good is everything I do, surfboard outlines, the bottom lines, everything, if you just keep it basic and have the same flow, the ratio of curve from nose to tail, never mind how much rocker there is, just if the curve is basically good.
Just from what I know, Jimmy's got a gift. His tricks will always be in his back pocket, and whether they really learn or not is up to them. But looking at boards, I haven't seen anything that's as fast. I probably put a 10th or a 100th of the hours into it as all the other people around me, but I just happen to be the rider on the best team, so that's what it's all about right now. Well, I came into the sail loft and said, "Barry, where's the 10 square meter sail?" And he says, "Gosh, Fred, I got this new 64 here that really looks sharp, 68 square feet. I think it's going to really go." I said, "Barry, well, you're going to go to Australia with it, because I'm not going unless we get a 10 square meter sail." Well, I've been known to be a gorilla before, but I guess I've gotten more of that title now. But it was the hardest part was water starting the darn thing, because it's so awkward lying on your back holding that much weight up. But once I got going, it wasn't really much harder than sailing a smaller sail with such flat water here at Perth. It was really a good course. Ultimately, I imagine the sailboard to be the fastest craft in the world, and we've got a ways to go yet. But because we have less wetted surface and a human body controlling it efficiently, theoretically we should be able to go faster, but we'll just have to prove that someday. And I don't know who it'll be, but I'd sure like to give it my best too. Oh, 2611, no good for me.
Oh,
2448, oh,
going
you went
slower.
Wait for the puff.
Oh, we're done.
What?
Ew.
Wait a minute, but that's a new world record. Couldn't be true. You're not that fast yet, huh?
No, we're
27, I had to make it go faster. I anticipate her pushing well above what her present time is. I don't think anyone's going to beat her right now. She's on a roll, and we're going to see more out of her.
months ago looked at me and just sort of went, "You go fast." There's a lot of help besides what I put into it, and I have to thank all these people because it's those people that got me here. Thank you. And thank you for a great event. Also.
Fred Hayward has set a new world record, subject to ratification.
I heard a lot of hot air before I came, and all I have to say is you do have sea breezes, so I'm looking forward to coming back, and really what we're after is to be the ultimate sailor in the world, and I know that there's 10 or 15 or 20, 30 of you that can be sailing over 30 knots. All we need is more wind, so pray for wind next year, and we'll go to battle, all right?
It's usually the same people that travel to all the different contests around the world. It's just a very small group of people. We see them in Japan. Okay, see you in 2 weeks in Australia. We go to Australia. See them 2 weeks later in Germany or somewhere like that. And the crowd doesn't change a whole lot, at least not quickly. And people slowly move in and out, but it's usually the same group. I've known Kelby for a long time. Oh, she's a real nice girl. She's got a nice butt. Just thinking about her makes me sneeze. She does everything. She races. She started back in the windsurfer days, so she's been through the course racing, slalom, freestyle bit, and now she's moved into high wind slalom, wave riding. So she's really a well-rounded sailor. The first time I met Matt and Mike was in 1976 at my first big race. They were legends in the sport, as far as legends could be at that time in such a small sport. I was just 13, and they were a couple of years older, which when you're that young is a big difference. And they took me in pretty well. Mike ended up winning that regatta and became the North American champion, and I beat Matt. I got second. So it was really a big deal for me because Matt was #1 in the sport by quite a bit back then. And we've been very good friends and competitors ever since.
I met Matt at his school he went to. The girl I was with was his next door neighbor, and we were friends. And she said, oh yeah, that's Matt Schweitzer, and his dad invented board sailing, and he's the best in the world. And then I was pretty impressed. I think I was 13.
Tommy and George went out in the boat to get a few crabs for the barbie. Each year, competitors on the pro circuit come through Lennox on their way from Victoria to Queensland. And this year, our visitors included Kelby Anno, Matt Schweitzer, and Richard White.
In general, Australia is a nice place. It's a fun place. Everyone's always having a good time. The Americans go down there and party. It's a lot looser in that sense than it is here.
Put them on top there. There we go. Grab it.
No, I'm scared.
No, don't put it out.
How?
Yeah, maybe we will. Might as well get them in there.
Oh gosh, they're gonna scream. Are they gonna scream?
No, they just squeak. Look.
No way. Tommy, do they? Tommy? Are they gonna scream? Yeah.
How's that?
Oh.
How'd it feel? Decent.
Everyone's asking if you're coming down. I'm going, are you gonna go?
Look at the movement. Yeah. It's coming in from this side.
Look how fast it's moving. It's a southerly buster.
It's hard to say. It's a good storm though. Look what's coming over here. We had one of these when I was working on Cool and Get a Goal. I had one of these hit wasted the whole film set. Blew the towers down, tents away. 24-foot surf boats were rolling down the beach.
Well, you guys got some funny crabs here. They're great looking though.
Hang on, put up in your mouth again. Do it again.
That's it. Let's eat. Hey, watch out there, kids.
Watch out, kids.
Matt, we've been looking forward to seeing you because your dad invented the windsurfer. When did you start sailboarding yourself?
I've been sailboarding for 16 years now. Well, it was a pretty small thing back then. You know, a few of the neighbors did it, and we'd get together for little family cookouts, and just basically it wasn't we never thought it would turn out to be the sport it was today, that's for sure. You know, and then slowly and surely it started changing. The boards got shorter, and now there's foot straps, and it's really taking off.
Europe took it up, and now the whole world's taking it up.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. It's the fastest growing sport in the world at this point.
Isn't it fantastic?
Unbelievable. He didn't expect it. I didn't expect it.
He really didn't expect it, right?
No, not at all.
And what about you, Kelby? When did you start?
I started about 6 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a fair while back too.
Yeah, it seemed like a long time ago, but now that I think about it, it's been going by so quick and things have been changing so quickly, it's just so fast.
You saw the foot straps come in, didn't you?
Yeah, I was living in California at the time, and I just wanted to get to Hawaii and get on a board with straps, so 3 years later I did.
Neat. Well, we're coming to Hawaii in about 8 weeks, and we're looking forward to checking out your territory.
Oh, I can't wait. That'll be great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, turn you on some neat spots and warm water, tan.
Terrific.
Girls.
I am a married man. I love my wife.
I'm just kidding.
Eventually, all of our stories lead to Hawaii. The constant trade winds and powerful Pacific Ocean swells create a sailing paradise which is the center of world windsurfing development. Robby Naish welcomed Bob McTavish to Hawaii in the early summer of '85.
Hawaii's always been so special to me that I'll do anything to get there. Once I stowed away to be there. That was in '63. I've been there quite a few times since. But to come back as a windsurfer was a whole new experience. So this is Diamond Head, eh? Whereabouts do you sail?
Around the corner a little bit. Just about 300, 400 yards upwind of the lighthouse. The wind's a little bit fluky down this way around the corner, and the waves are a bit shallow to be windsurfing. And I launch just up around the corner and sail out here with the crowd. It depends how big it is. You know, the bigger the waves, the better it is, because less people can go out and less people can handle it. But when it's small and there's good wind, it gets crazy. You know, like between June, July, August, we get the good south swells. And it'll handle up 6-8 feet before it starts closing out. And you can still get out with a windsurfer. It gets really fun, really good. The guys started going for loops. I didn't want to, but I said, well, there I go. I gotta go start doing loops, because I don't want to have anybody doing something that I can't do or haven't done. Simply nothing to lose attitude. Might as well go for it.
have a business manager, don't have an agent, haven't needed it up to this point. All of my contractual counseling and things comes from Rick and Carol. They're really smart. Rick's like a walking dictionary. Carol's always helped me with writing things. And there's never been any push behind anything. Simply, if I had a question, they had an answer. But there was never any, Robby, you should do this or that, the other thing. And if I wanted to make a bad decision, they'd say, okay, go ahead. They'd tell me it was wrong, but they wouldn't say, don't do it.
When Robby won the first Worlds, he called long distance, and I answered the phone. He said, give me Mom. And I said, no. Tell me how you did. And he said, no, give me Mom. And I said, I'm not going to give the phone to Mom unless you tell me how you did. And he said, I won. And I couldn't believe it. I handed the phone to Mom, ran outside, started jumping up and down, yelling and screaming. It was great.
Because you really are a tight family, aren't you? I mean, there's no jealousy there. It doesn't come evident.
No jealousy.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
You're jealous you're not 20 years younger, that's all.
You always tried awfully hard, even if you didn't win at all sorts of things. Destructively so sometimes. You'd break bones skateboarding and that kind of thing. Some people just have a feel, and it's hard to put it in any kind of terms that make sense.
The first time I ever rode a real motorcycle was in the Bahamas in '76 with Matt. Matt's always been a motorcycle fanatic, and they could rent motorcycles on the island that we were staying on. And we did, and I could hardly ride it, but went around anyway. And then the next time I rode bikes was here on Maui with Matt. It's really great fun. We have parties at my parents' house every couple of weeks, and some of those people are regulars, and some of the others, like Larry Stanley, for example, haven't really spent much time with anymore. You know, the old group has kind of faded out and gone in different directions, and it was fun to get everybody back together.
Actually, just the time I was getting into the sport, these guys, Stan and Mike Horgan and the rest of the few group, were already playing with the windsurfer and making improvements to it.
Like what?
The first one, for example, was making bigger windows in the sails. The sails came with a little tiny square window that pointed up to the sky that you couldn't see out of. So they added bigger windows so you could see out of the things. Cut the sails down so that you had smaller sails for when the wind came up, because they only came in one size. Cut the big old dagger boards down into a surfing dagger board, a high wind dagger board, that you didn't have to pull out of the board to go off the wind.
The board wouldn't roll up whenever you
Yeah, it wouldn't be
away.
hydroplaning as soon as you came on the plane. And then cutting the fins down to make the boards turn faster and be more maneuverable.
The chip was really different, really radical. Double tunnel and 10 feet long, which was really short at the time, and real wide but real fast. It's nice and light too.
The problem with the custom boards was they were slippery. The surfboard wax wasn't good enough. We tried, that doesn't work. It works fine now, but it wouldn't work then. When the foot straps finally came out, they were just back foot straps.
Yeah.
And for 6 months, no one used anything
actually,
but back foot straps.
The chip had
front ones
three straps, a front strap on each side and one single rear strap. I put the first one on my board. I guess they were probably the first ones on a board, but I don't know that for a fact. But
right, that, as far as you know.
Put them on a board to try to control the board a little better, and it turned out that it worked really well. And inadvertently, it also led to jumping and controlled flight. Well, it didn't lead to jumping. We were jumping without foot strap.
I mean, for ages when the harness was already out, I wouldn't try it because I thought I was going to, hook in and drown in the thing. So it took me really a long time.
It really extended our sailing time, though. Immediately you could tell that you were just going to be able to sail all day in conditions like we've had the last few days, which is just excellent. You could sail for 15 or 20 minutes at a time sometimes, really. That's all you could sail, and your arms would just explode.
They were state of the art.
John Spear, who was one of the early windsurfers, he got into it in Kailua about the same time that I did. And he was a hobby photographer, mostly shot with an Ikonos. And he actually got a lot of the real good action shots of me in the early days for covers and centerfolds and things with the European magazines. We go back a long way. He's sort of faded out of the group and doesn't sail much anymore. So we don't see a whole lot of each other anymore except for parties and things like that. He's a real good guy.
So this is Kailua, right?
Yeah, this is where I grew up. And
this is the
where I've been sailing for the past week since the wind's been so good. I haven't had to drive anywhere else. Like last Friday, Saturday, we had 2 really good days.
If it's windy in Kailua, I take out a speedboard and a huge sail rather than a wave board and a small one. It's just a lot more fun for me right now. If I ever get a chance, I'll do a speed trials, but right now the major focus is on World Cup racing and wave riding. And the speed trials doesn't have priority right now, although it's what I'm pursuing for fun because I enjoy that area really a lot right now.
It's a bit of fun riding these little waves just in here. I saw a guy in there before. Yeah. I saw a guy on the surfboard out there too.
That's where I learned to surf.
Really?
Yeah.
it gets real windy, the slalom boards get a little out of control because they're so wide. So I've made another one that you could call a speedboard. It's sort of an in-between high wind slalom board, just blazing around board. It's a little wide for a speed trials probably. Made more from 25 to 30 knots or so, not 40 or 50. But it's just a multiple concave, narrow, long, pretty quick board. A little bit bigger than most of the speed boards that guys are using.
In recent years, the outer island of Maui has become the mecca for the international sailing fraternity. It was to Maui that they prepared to sail on the 112-foot schooner, Mauna Tea.
Sailing. I'm ready.
Gonna be a rough crossing, though, right?
That's what I'm hoping for.
That's right.
Forward and go sailing. Up in there, Rob. Ready? Cast off there, Bob?
Yes, he's sweet. were leaving Oahu for Maui, planning to sail across the Molokai Channel.
Tie this one off.
Got a few good scares out here just right off this reef because it breaks out so far. That looks like waves are going to break right up.
That's the reef, just about 400 yards in there.
Yep. Picks up.
Great waves breaking there, big sets.
You only need a little shallow pad to really jump up.
It's probably 40 feet of water, that's all we're in. So a 20-foot, 25-foot wave would break here. So we've got to be the other side of the line, really.
Oh, you're fine right now.
We're not going to collide with that rock out there.
Avoid the rock.
For marine entries, the noon marine forecast for this afternoon and tonight. Water is within 100 miles of the Hawaiian Islands. Gale warnings remain in effect for Kauai Channel, and small craft advisories remain in effect for all other channels and all coastal waters due to strong and gusty trades and large trade wind swell.
How's the deck? It must be at a...
I got washed down the deck one time, about 4 feet down the deck.
The island of Maui, a string of coastal towns between the mountains and the ocean. Less than 100 miles from end to end, yet probably the most perfect windsurfing location the world will ever see.
Maui is a really important place for me, as it has a special role in my own story.
Bob, remember in Australia we were talking about the old days, and you said that you and a couple of your friends had come to Maui years and years and years ago to test some new stuff. When was that exactly?
It was 67, December 67.
Yeah? Why Maui instead of Oahu?
The waves were much more down the line and longer walls, and that's what we were used to in Australia. And we were testing out boards that
were designed to accelerate fast, so this was the perfect spot to test them.
Yeah, specifically this spot, not Maui in general, but this wave right here, right?
Honolulu Bay, this is the place we came to test the gear.
It's a lot more of a point break, a long sort of wall like Australia than the Oahu waves, huh?
Exactly. It's just like the places back home we'd been experimenting with these boards.
But with a little more juice and a little more size, or?
Yeah, and consistency. It's clean all day here. Over there, it usually blows out by lunchtime.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The trades don't really come in here, do they?
No.
Your perfect wave to windsurf if there was some wind.
No, you're not kidding. You need that speed. Yeah, we'd carved a foot off the length of the boards, and they were accelerating off the tail, which was something new at the time.
Right.
And
so you get more power through your turns instead of just sort of having to tuck into the pocket of the wave and tank along.
Exactly. That was the start of it. That got the ball rolling towards what the surfing you see today. High performance carving, accelerating, slashing surfing. And that's where it all kicked off, really. Of course, working with Nat Young, who was just the undisputed #1 in the world at the time, that's what accelerated the design and performance level so quickly. Having a guy of his talents using my shapes was really good.
Right. So that was like the transitional point for surfing back then, similar to what happened just, 3 years ago or so with the multi-fin little boards. The surfing, I mean, they're basically doing the same thing that they've always been doing, with a very different style and a lot more power, a lot more chopped up sort of surfing, but the moves that are being pulled off now because of the multi-fin boards and the changes in design are just amazing.
It was really nice to get to Maui and to meet Fred and Kelby again in the small town of Paia, which has become the centre of windsurfing on the island.
Fred Hayward and Kelby Anno are among the hundreds of sailors who now live on Maui and search for freedom, speed and flight in these most beautiful of testing grounds.
So this is the grazing spot in Paia.
So how's it going to be up there today, Chris?
Unreal, mate. Almost as good as this pizza.
Isn't it great having this little sailing spot in our backyard here?
Woo! Fantastic, mate. Yeah. Fantastic. How do we get out here?
Oh, we go down this strip right here.
Come down here, walk down here, keep your mast tip forward, and launch off this front point. And we'll pinch up here to the upper brakes and work our way back down. Get some jumps along the way. It'll be fun.
Which peak are you going to hit? That one right at the top?
That one up there, but we'll hit them all on the way up because we have to just zigzag through the center.
Okay.
Alex Aguirre. He's one of the hottest wave riders in the world now.
I want to taste the wind, the speed, and continue having a good time in life. That's what it's all about. We're all here on this world to have fun, you know. Make the most of it while it happens is what I always say.
He's got some strange ideas and ways of doing things, but at least he pursues them rather than just thinking about them. You know, it's good to see that someone's trying things that are so off the wall, you know, instead of just thinking.
God, this is like Mike Walt riding the door. Remember that? He wants to go its own direction.
Well, what do you think, Fred?
God, this thing's wild. I can't control it. It's crazy.
I love that hot job you just did.
Yeah, I didn't even know I did it until it was over.
Looks like the nose is catching a bit.
Yeah, it's catching, but this thing has a lot of potential for acrobatics.
I'm really glad you're trying, Fred, anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I gotta try everything to find out what's happening.
Good on you, mate.
I think Maui is beautiful. I love Maui so much. It's always alive. If the wind's not blowing, it's raining, or the waves are up. I mean, there's so much energy here. The board sailing is beautiful, and I love having Maui as a home base. Maui is definitely a good speed. I like it. It's just a perfect spot as far as I'm concerned. Everything I do pretty much is based around board sailing in one way or another. And it really changed my whole life. I mean, there are special people in the sport. It's a different breed. You know, and I really, really enjoy it. If you got down to everybody's real feelings about it, they'd probably say the same thing.
A lot of up-and-comers on Maui, young guys that are really shredding. You know, I've never even really seen them ripping, but people keep talking about David Wetter and Eric Sharp and that whole new group of guys. All the guys have their booms down at their knees. A whole different sailing style. They all shred, that's for sure.
It's pretty hot out there. Pretty hot. Okay, Eric, throw over the line.
They're a great bunch of guys, and we have a lot of fun, a lot of good laughs together, and I really like them a lot. I think the reason why they're so much fun is because what it really means to board sail is to have a lot of fun, to get a lot of good laughs out of sailing and being together and, you know, having camaraderie and stuff and joking around, and I love that. David looks like Spider-Man when he's out there. He's got a really distinct style. His head's really low and tucked under, and he just hyperextends his whole body out off the lip. They all are different. They have completely different styles, every single one of them.
What I've done since the beginning of my career is tried to be proficient in every aspect of windsurfing. You know, as the sport has progressed in a lot of different directions, I've tried to follow as many of them as I can. It's fun. It's the most fun thing to do that I have experienced. Although my experiences aren't that broad, it is far beyond anything else I can imagine doing right now.
deep ocean channel between the islands of Maui and Molokai provides some of the most exciting open ocean sailing in the Hawaiian Islands.
That was one mean jump. About half a mile away and I saw it.
Which one? The one when I ate it?
No, Robbie did one, a hovering jump next to the boat.
Well, I did a really big one and went up and got twisted and then got nailed and just got weather veined and just slammed into the water so hard.
Yeah, it was 44 knots, 50 miles an hour, over 50 miles an hour.
And we were using 45 square foot sails. Man, I knew it was windy. I was hurt.
Well, it's pretty neat sailing around a boat that big, especially a sailboat, all keeled over so the bottom's showing like that. And it was really a lot of fun. Amazing the amount of water that thing displaced. It was really, really turbulent behind it. Good fun. Not exactly the perfect speed equipment. I was on a slalom board just trying to blaze around. But it was still really a good time.
As our story draws to a close, we can see that Duke Kahanamoku, his forefathers and his followers have inspired in succeeding generations a passion for the wind and the ocean, which remains largely unfulfilled. Each decade provides a select group of brilliant and gifted innovators. Robby Naish is of this decade, and he in turn will show the way for those who follow.